Coming up on Look Today, well, Jenny Hutchinson of Larac in Glens Falls takes over as Director of Museum Education at the Hyde Collection, also in Glens Falls. I've got the details. And Executive Director of the Wood Theater in Glens Falls steps down in July. More on that coming up. And we also have an update on the armed robbery in Glens Falls. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with Sabrina Hauser. Now, she's the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters in the Capital Region, and she's here to talk about Startup Saratoga. That's an event that's coming up. I also sit down with Dave Smith. He's the Executive Director of an organization called Live More Foundation, and he's joined by Daniel McDermott, who's a board member, and they're here to discuss the foundation. Plus, we have your weather for the Tri-North counties. But first, we've got these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, Jenny Hutchinson, the longtime gallery curator for Larac in Glens Falls, will become the new Director of Museum Education at the Hyde Collection. Now, Jenny Hutchinson worked for Larac for 6 years, teaching classes and coordinating the gallery and exhibition programs. Now, previously, the Hyde had worked closely with Hutchinson on Larac's recent 120 Degrees Intercollegiate Art Regional Exhibition. Now, what caught the attention of the Hyde was her experience connecting with artists and audiences of all ages. Now, Hutchinson's involvement and personal connection to the community will prove to be invaluable for the Hyde. Now, as many of you know, Jenny's a frequent guest here on Look Media, has a lot of friends here, and we wish her the best. In other news, more news on the arts. Erin Kuhn will step down as Executive Director of the Wood Theater in Glens Falls. Now, this will be effective July 1st. After 5 years of her leadership, she believes that it's time to move on. Well, according to her, for a nonprofit organization, it is important to have change in leadership to freshen things up. Now, it's important to note that in her tenure, she was responsible for many renovations to accommodate the different groups that used the theater. Now, in addition to renovations, the use of the building for events went up significantly as well when she was there. Again, Erin's another friend of Look Media, and we wish her the best in her future endeavors. Well, switching from news to weather, today was fairly overcast with temperatures in the mid to high 30s. Let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a detailed look, we're going to head to our Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast. And back to the news. Well, we've got an update on that armed robber who was chased on foot by the Glens Falls police. This happened last Friday. Police have determined that the guns that were recovered at the crime scene were in fact stolen. Nathan Nevins was seen holding one of the guns in the building that he broke into on Broad Street. Now, according to the police, he brought the guns into the building but left them there before he made his getaway. Well, Nevins has been charged with felony counts of burglary, criminal use of a firearm, assault, and reckless endangerment. In other news, the Glens Falls Civic Center has seen a boost in its attendance for events. Well, according to General Manager Jeff Mead, February was an especially good month. Now, in that month alone, the center hosted 19 events. Now, that included hockey games and 6 sessions of the high school basketball playoffs, which collectively drew close to 19,000 people. Well, Mead says that the center is pursuing all kinds of shows for the coming year and will announce on Monday a rock concert that will be held on September 30th. Now, the good crowds continue to grow into March with 16,000 people attending the state boys basketball tournament. Well, we're going to keep you updated on all the events that happen there at the center. Well, up next, I sit down with Sabrina Hauser. Now, she's the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and she's here to talk about a program called Startup Saratoga and the event happening next week. Plus, I also sit down with Dave Smith. Now, he's the Executive Director of Live More Foundation, and he's joined by Dan McDermott, a board member. They're here to discuss the work of the foundation. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798 8,000.